What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. I'm not used to this part. Welcome. So I know you were expecting Griff Riffs, and I don't have that luxurious beard, but I'm not here alone. Tony's definitely here. See, there's
I
Tony.
don't necessarily have that luxurious beard anymore either.
It's very, very weird. But tonight we're here to introduce you to a new homie, a new member of the toy community, at least for making the toys. His name's Quaid, and he's making some fantastic figures over with the Tide Realm Corsairs. So, real quick, hi, Quaid.
Fantastic to be here, guys. I'm not really dressed for the occasion either because there's less than no beard going on.
That's fair. That's fair. You'll get there. No,
I can,
that's
but I hate it.
that's fair. I yeah, I can relate to that some days for sure. But welcome, man. We've been talking about this for a while now. I know the teases have been coming out on over social media and everything. So stoked to finally get to do this. I know Tony has been wetting his pants over these figures and has been poking me relentlessly. I'm like, we got it, it's happening. So very excited to have you here. Also, the COJ already chiming off in the chat. Scope the website link that I dropped in there as well. That links directly to Quaid and his amazing goodies. But yeah, man, welcome aboard. Let the people know who you are and what you do, and we'll kick it over to the website and go through some goodies.
I'm very excited to be here, and I never get tired of talking about these things because you could have knocked me over with a feather 10 years ago to tell me that I would be talking about my own toy line because I've wanted to do this since I was little. Now, judging by the camera, we can tell that that wasn't that long ago. But it's I like to blame my mom, even though it's not her fault, but she was the enabler that got in me into toys in the first place. So my wonderfully creative mother, instead of putting money under my pillow for the whole Tooth Fairy shindig, she put a small transformer, and that transformer being Optimus Prime. That pretty much started the whole addiction. Ever where after that there was,
You have a badass tooth fairy.
yeah, I do. Ever
That's
after that,
awesome.
it just never. I always figured, I assumed, figured that I would grow out of
Ah,
it, and there was no point where it didn't. Storytelling was my primary form of self-expression at every stage of life. So much so that I made 3 feature-length films from the age of
dang.
18 to 21, but that's another story. Um, so, committing to things that are probably a little bit bigger than I am is not new to me, but this was a dream. This was something that I never thought I'd actually be doing. It's an industry that never stopped fascinating me. And there was pretty much no product line that I wasn't interested in at least experiencing in some facet or other just to understand more of the craft.
What up, Terrence?
There's Terrence, one of my favorite
We got
people.
we got Terrence. We
Um,
got Blurred wanting to talk to you as well. Uh, G Schmerber
there's
as well. Welcome. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just saying, hey, the folks
No,
stopping
you're
on.
all right. I'm so glad that the folks that are here because they've been avid supporters of this whole thing. But what's strange is that I have this long-standing history of loving toys, and yet I had never handled anything from Four Horsemen Studios until last Christmas, when I found their what I think was probably a lot of people's entryway, which was their figure obscura installation of Christmas Carol. And all
Yeah,
the Christmas decor is still up in my room. I can't bear to take it down yet, which I'm sure the folks watching probably noticed here and there. Um, so that Jacob Marley was my introduction to it. And if anybody is already familiar with that figure, probably can tell where that influence started to trickle down in here. I had no
Pirate,
idea that the
Pirate Light.
company,
That's it.
absolutely, I had no idea that that company had the history that they did, or the fact that they were still open to working with small companies like I am now. And we were not a company when we emailed them. They made us a
Yeah,
company real quick.
always, dude. One of the cool things is, and this is something that always, I don't want to say shocks me, but like you were saying, the Four Horsemen have such a like crazy history to them. Like you might have interacted with work from one of the members of the studio and had no idea about it because they like the members of that studio have been in the business for so long. I
Yes.
feel bad because I'm sure someone is sitting there just being like, "Hey, we're not old." And I'm not saying that you're old. I'm saying that you're experienced. There's a difference.
Exactly. There's a nicer way to put that one.
But yeah, I'm gonna kick the website over real quick, just because I'm sure people are gonna be wanting to see what we're talking about here. Oh, can I do this? Oh, that's nice. I like that.
That
Um,
is the oh yep, so you're right at the top of that homepage. And of course, these are our three main prototypes that are part of this first Kickstarter, what we hope to be the first of many. This is Captain Algol Deathmoid here on the, I'm hoping it's everyone's left side. If it's not, then it's going to be your right. We have Captain Alistair Morningstar in the middle, and we have Captain Charybdis here. These guys were the culmination of the three
Hi, Trevor.
factions that we felt were, ooh, hey Trevor, distracted me for a minute.
Sorry.
That we felt were the strongest concepts that we had in the book, and that was saying something because we had a lot of concepts in the book. There was probably well over a dozen factions that we had conceptualized. I say all that just to drive home the point that we, with our limited budget, had to narrow down quite a lot. What we submitted to the Horsemen was concept art for what could have amounted to 50 plus figures, which is unrealistic even for a large company. So
Right.
Corn Boy was extremely informative and helpful when it came to picking who our flagship characters were. And these guys were just screaming for attention anyway.
For sure. And like I started the little video. I don't have the audio up because it sometimes messes with the mics, but just to
Oh, that's all
show
right.
that love that is going into these. I mean, again, I was saying before when you sent over the stills that I was looking at before the show, I was just sitting there gawking, because my goodness, these are beautiful.
Well, it helps that what you were working with was, the isolated, image
Yeah,
of just the figure, so it doesn't have the background to distract from it, and you really can get a look at all of those details. And still to this day, we're the ones that conceptualized them, and every single time I look at them, I'm like, oh right, there's that, there's that there, there's that too. Their belts are probably one of my favorite things on them, simply because we tried to stuff them with as many details as possible, since we couldn't include an infinite amount of accessories. So they
yeah,
have little sculpted details of accoutrement on their weapon holsters and things that tell more of the story. There isn't a single detail on them that isn't story relevant, that doesn't have some purpose for being there in the first place.
and I saw a bunch of people mentioning they got to see these firsthand at Legion's Con, which is dope. I'm so stoked because this year Tony and I are getting our butts out there too. So hopefully there'll be some awesome news by then. But we'll
We're
see.
planning on there being pretty awesome
Yeah,
news by then. We don't have any reason to believe otherwise.
for sure.
It's going to, this year's Legion's Con is going to be interesting because it was a miracle for us to be there in 2025 in the first place.
Yeah.
We scraped together well more than we really had in order to make that happen. And we're based all the way out in Wyoming, which is practically
Oh
landlocked
dang.
from everywhere else. Yeah, it's a fairly weird spot for somebody who's jumping in to the industry that I am to originate from, but that's the sad truth. So it takes us quite a bit to get anywhere, and that's why my good buddy Terrence here is watching so closely, because he's watching our back for the remainder of the con season, and they're going to be,
There
there
we
we
go.
go, he's got it right there, where they are going to be representing us, and we are meticulously trying to figure out what people can expect for those booths, and how much
Oh,
they'll have to look at.
Pendergast says next door to me in Colorado. Um,
Oh, there's Ryan.
he so fun fact. I am familiar with Wyoming. It is definitely one of those states I've never slept inside in though. Uh, gone camping out there many a time.
It's not,
Uh,
I was going to say, in the words of Luke Skywalker, if there's a bright center to the universe, you're on the planet that's farthest from.
yeah. Um, that was beautiful. Also, I noticed you got some comic art. Always near and dear to my heart. I'm a comic artist, so this is my life.
Oh, that's
So
wonderful.
I was super stoked to see this. So
These come from our good friends at Edge Comics. So the founder of that company, Alex, his son Noah, who is yeah, he's probably going on 17 by this point. I'll have to ask him again. But he did these, at least these top ones here of these three factions. He cranked those out on a couple of different for Legion's Con, and they turned out just gorgeous. And he's working on a few more for us
very
going
cool.
into the next couple months. And then right below that is some illustrations of the three gods of the Tide Realm. And those came from our good buddy Dimitri over on Instagram. Killzone619, I believe, is his handle. And these are the three central points of origin for why the Tide Realms exist in the first place. These characters are highly ambitious by nature. They're something that if this toy line takes off, we don't expect to see very soon because, of course, they are gods, and most of their sculpting would be highly unique, each character. But
For
we
sure.
wanted to have visual interpretations of these guys very, very early on because they're so crucial and pivotal to the storyline, and they're each so very unique and interesting to look at. We get a lot of good feedback, especially about Hurricane, who's practically the symbol of what we're trying to communicate with this pirate line.
Dude, I mean the concepts here, the designs are so solid. It's so they're all beautiful. It's so damn cool to see. Also, oh, never mind. There we go. William had asked where and when can we back this, and Terrence had said we are aiming for spring, William, but more details. But
we are currently waiting for factory quotes specifically to come in to have a closer idea of what we want that funding goal to be. We have a little bit better idea of what we're looking at than we did even a couple weeks ago now, but we're still waiting to dial everything in completely.
Well, and that's a hell of a pack out too, like the array of hands and weaponry and such.
They came with, so it's funny, it wasn't, I don't know if it was a miscommunication so much as I didn't read the entire email, but we were conceptualizing them assuming that we would have to, budget down to the bare minimum. So each of these guys have 6 hands unique to them, and that was twice as many as I was expecting us to be able to make happen. And I think that's very much on the part of the Horsemen, just choosing to execute this to the fullest extent that they were able to give, and we're really happy with their loadout.
Yeah, it's gonna say they're absolutely gorgeous. And the details, like the barnacles and the oh my gosh, why the coral and such on them is just so much fun.
Captain Charybdis was, interestingly enough, he obviously visually has the most that he is communicating right off the bat. What's funny is that at almost every stage of his development, he was kind of a one-shot wonder. And what I mean by that is simply we had his visuals so specifically dialed in when it came to submitting what we were looking to achieve, that when it came to, the first pass for sculpting, it only took one approval. He was there. When it came to the pass for painting, he was also right there, dead on. The other two took just a little bit more tweaking, which is funny. Because this guy he has so much going on, but he pretty much wrote himself into existence.
Agreed for it. Dude, I feel bad because Tony is the one. So I had seen several posts and I was like, oh man, that's really cool. I got to reach out to him. Tony is the one who was like, hey, you reach out to him? Did you reach out? Did you reach out to him? Did you reach out to them? Have you talked to them yet? Have you emailed? Did you email them? Hey, did you email them? So I do want to give Tony a shot, just because I know I've been yakety yak and I kind of always.
Nah, it's all good. But I'm the rambler. You're the guy with a plan. So
since when?
Since the last 10 minutes.
So I mean, I guess I had a couple of questions, and if you can't answer them, totally understandable. Whether it's just you're not ready to or you don't have any idea, but like so obviously being that you also have Mythic Legions figures, and like like in terms of like how they feel, Like, is this going to be very similar? Like, like, should we expect this rigid, like kind of rigid plastic for the weapons, or are they going to be a little bit gummier?
Our expectation is these are going to be produced to a similar, if not highly similar, quality to what you would expect from the Mythic Legions.
Sure.
Mostly because we have the same standards that the Horsemen do. Quality control is so. My initials are QC, and I live by that because quality control is a huge part of what goes into most of my considerations when it comes to a product. So much so that I think I've got ahead of myself from where Cornboy was standing over at Four Horsemen, simply because a lot of my questions revolved around things like functionality and quality control long before we were even there trying to hash some of those things out, which I'm sure he was chuckling over. This is actually a good opportunity to point up. I think at the top there is a support tab, which may even have some of the questions you've got on your mind there.
Oh, there we go.
If that helps sort them out any. But yes, we do want these to be the same standard as anything you would expect from Horsemen, and we don't have any reason to believe that we'll have to compromise on that anywhere.
William Husted just said, "Time to work on a ship, Dio." And
I hope you have an extra 3 months on you, because that's how long ours took.
I do want to also point out that you have, like, you've thought of this. You have your frequently asked questions. You have, your prototypes up. You have, so I mean, I have spent many years designing websites, and the fact that you have stuff like a prototype gallery, you have, all these fantastic shots, like that. These are just cooking away, like
I'm glad that the website
answered the important questions, how they scale next to Transformers.
Absolutely, because that's what everyone's wondering.
I'm Jesus Christ. Sorry. Had to make the joke. Sorry. But I mean, one of the cool things is again, you not only are a fan, you're also going at this going, well, let's plug these in. Let's have these be a part of the greater collection, out there.
Absolutely.
Like,
absolutely. One of our first and foremost concerns was, so it's very, I assume that probably a lot of indie creators can relate to this. It's been very easy to put myself in the place of a consumer, because you're not really that far away from having been that in my case. So that's just where I like to keep my head, is what people are already going to expect, how they're going to think about integrating this within the collection, what role it's going to serve in what facet, and what folks would expect as far as quality control goes and accessory loadouts. So it's there's a reason I say that the story and these characters and these products kind of went up overnight, because they were practically begging to be made, and the little gap that they fill was not hard to write into, and it helped that I had been waiting for a chance to tell a pirate story for half of my life anyway.
Yeah. Pender says, don't forget all the lore already shared about these characters. FYI, do yourself a favor and sign up for the newsletter, which I believe you can do right at the top of the page.
I think it's at the bottom. There should be an email sign-up sheet. It should appear no matter what you click on. It should be there.
Yep. There it is.
And that is, for the moment, what we're treating, kind of like, where was I headed there? Because we do not have a landing page on Kickstarter up yet, simply because we're waiting for a lot of that key information, we are treating that email sign-up sheet on this website exactly like that. So one, there's a call to action there. We're hoping you guys who are all signed up on that email, should be expecting one tomorrow, giving you guys a little bit more of a deep dive into those gods. Everybody who's signed up, we're counting on you guys to be day one backers to get that algorithm at Kickstarter, shoot it right up there. But that's how we're using that tool anyway, while we're waiting to get that up there. So that email sign up is one of our most important tools that we have currently.
Forgiven just asked, will the pirates have double jointed elbows and knees?
So these guys were still, we have the exploded view of how the engineering is going into these ones. And these particular captains, once we got into the engineering, didn't require going to such lengths when it came to achieving the range that we wanted.
Yeah.
Where was the thread to that last? Oh, just because when it came down to what people are engineering and how they're going about the methods of sculpting when it comes to things like a single jointed near elbow, they're achieving things that I have not seen in many, many years when it comes to that level of range. So we explored that, and it didn't end up serving these characters to the way that we needed. We were able to get the range that we were looking for out of these guys with those
Yeah.
single jointed elbows and knees. Now we have characters in the backlog that we want to establish in the future where we think that would be a very high requirement in
Yeah.
that regard. But these guys are very, very standard just when it comes to like what you would expect from a 2.0, I would say, legions. They're quite similar to something like that.
Yeah.
And let's be realistic. They're pirates. They don't need to hit ninja poses.
Right. That's a fair assessment. And especially when it came to these captains,
Sure.
we have crewmates that are supposed to be a lot more agile than these guys are, but articulation's a big, big deal in my world. I'm pretty sure it's a big, big deal in any collector's preferences. And so we wanted these guys to hit that standard. We were not interested in these feeling restricted despite the nature of their character. But there were things that by nature of who they are, they didn't have to go to such lengths to achieve.
For sure.
For sure. Well, I
Um,
just wanted to scroll through the galleries real quick so that
The
folks
pictures
can
turned out
see.
phenomenal. I mean, it's tell Quaid to shut up because these turned out really cool. I'm really, really happy because this is just in my basement, taking
Yeah.
tips from Trevor and all my other peers in the toy photography industry. And thank heaven that ship diorama turned out as well as it did because Deathmoid especially comes to life on it.
Yeah. No,
um,
it's really like these are stunning. I'm not gonna lie, and I thought these shots were from Trevor. Like there were a couple of them in there where I'm like, damn, like the lighting, the effects, like
That's quite the compliment. I've
somewhere
I
Trevor's either
right.
very flattered or very angry at me. I don't know.
Right. Trevor's seething over in the background now. I bet. That's
my
wonderful
other
that we're
question
achieving
for you
that
is,
standard. Yeah.
will these I just judging off of at least these three, I'm going to assume probably not, just because like you're saying they are very unique. But do
Mhm.
you have will they be modular like legions? Will you be able to pop them all apart and swap parts? And
That was something that in that support tab actually we
oh,
addressed when it comes to these guys specifically. Well, it comes to our company anyway. That modular nature that Four Horsemen has to their products is very much something that they have enterprised on for their company and its uses, and it's something that I think they're very interested in retaining to make their toys what it is.
sure.
And when we went in for the intentions for our products, it wasn't something that was necessary because we of course considered it. But
Mhm.
one, they answered the question simply along those lines of there was a measure that they wanted to retain for their products. And we had different intentions when it came to how the loadouts would function on our characters and how these figures would relate to each other for future waves once we got to
Yeah.
that point.
Sure.
So they are not compatible with legions as far as the diameter of the joints go or whatever. Obviously, customizers are going to do whatever they would like with
Yeah.
these guys.
I was gonna
But
say, don't you tempt me with a good time.
I mean,
right.
I wasn't even necessarily meaning like, can you swap parts with legions? I just meant like within your guys' line, like would they?
Within the cross compatibility of this line specifically, there will be some options. They are
Okay,
not
that's cool.
totally by nature modular, but something that we are working on anyway is obviously being able to uh, optimize the tooling that we already have and continue to produce characters that are making use out of some of those pieces that are already there. So there's going to be some things that by nature are going to have to come apart in order
Yeah,
to make
for
that
sure.
happen. So
I mean,
there will be removable, those heads for sure are going to come on and off.
yeah, I mean, but and obviously you're not necessarily going to swap the heads amongst each other. I mean, you could, but
It'll depend on the
aesthetics would
character.
be completely
Yeah.
off.
Well, and I also got to throw it out there just because it's a very strange. Terrence says, "Have Dremel, anything is possible." Like as someone who has drawn a shitload of pirates over the years, and
Right.
I feel weird saying worked with some at Ye Old Renfest, but it's really cool to see the little details that they got in there with some of like the shoulder, the epaulets and the actual trim and just the cording and everything is just really really fun. Like you said, the devil's in the details, and it's so damn cool to see
Absolutely.
the attention that got.
The
Come on, Tio.
I
the
mean,
cinematic quality was our priority when it came to communicating what made our figures what they are. So
Yeah,
proportionally, these aren't they're beefy in hand. I mean, you know what to expect when it comes to a Four Horsemen product anyway, but we wanted them to be a little bit more realistic in proportion as far as a human stature goes. So these guys have fairly long legs and fairly long arms, and they're very interesting and are, I imagine, only going to continue to be more interesting to handle simply because their proportions are fairly different from anything else that is on the market. And
yeah,
loved how that translated because it got that epic movie cinematic quality that we were looking to be able to relate with these guys, because cinema is a big part of my history. Just making something present cool on screen is a very similar, but there's some key differences when it comes to that art, from toy making to storytelling. And these
yeah,
guys just kind of bridged that gap. It was not hard to tell that story with these silhouettes because they were a very, very intuitive canvas to convey exactly what we were after.
yeah. No, and Terrence just said Goblin Pirates, Pirate Dwarves, Ship of Gnomes, Art Crew. Customizers will make it happen.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Any
they're not
chance,
going to have any trouble.
Criminally Geek asked, any chance we will get Blackbeard or some other historical pirates?
Let me get it. Let me get in here and just let's see. Where's the winky face emoji?
Yeah. Legally speaking, no. I'm guessing, but
I'd have to do some research on that one because we have quite a few intentions when it comes to like I said in that the support tab. There's
yeah,
very, very little that hasn't occurred to us when it comes to the potential of what the public eye is going to be expecting when it comes to those classic pirates. So a Blackbeard-esque character is something that's very much on our radar. But I would have to do some more research just to figure out if Blackbeard, Terrence, you're playing a dangerous game there. If Blackbeard falls under the public domain conversation,
yeah,
because he may very well, and I don't know about it yet.
yeah. No, I mean, like that stuff's always tricky because also, there's certain brands, there's certain things out there that might have a trademark for something. You know what I mean? Like it's the
Mhm.
minutia of
It's
copyright.
a complicated
Um,
world to navigate.
yeah.
if
That's
Popeye is in the public domain, I got to imagine Blackbeard is.
right.
Oh
There's some
man, a
really good
Popeye
shots in
look
there of
would be
some of
nuts.
those details on the belts there. Charybdis specifically has some really interesting call outs to just shark bits as an aesthetic trait to him uniquely. He has that
Oh
shark
yeah.
jaw buckle at the top there, and he has shark teeth dangling all over him, actually.
Well, and so right now my 3-year-old is really, really, really into anything seafaring, shall we say. So
Wow.
I was looking through these pictures on my iPad the other
Oh,
day, and he's like, Dad, why is the squid guy got a shark jaw? I'm like, well, that's just part of his design. Why is he got, like he's asking all these questions. He's like,
yeah.
it's kind of scary. I'm like, yeah, I think that's the goal. I think that's
Yeah.
where he's aiming here. So knocked it out of the park.
I'm
Um,
glad that because we haven't had any child focus groups yet, so I'm glad that little
yeah,
details like that are jumping out to that audience too. As adult collectibles, as these are classified, I want to see kids playing with these if they can.
oh yeah. No, again, it's just right now everything is ocean based. I have read so many books about different types of sharks in the last year. It's been nuts. Um, if, William says, if I ever get covered with barnacles, just throw me overboard. If you get covered in barnacles, there's bigger issues. Just throwing that out
There's
there.
bigger issues, but they're probably going to welcome you on, the depths to spare, because everybody on the depths to spare has barnacles. Just talk to
Yeah.
Kurt. I mean, you need to have enough barnacles on you to not look human, because that's going to get you gutted. But otherwise, you're probably good.
Tio throws out, do you think you'll have accessory packs, treasure, flaming cannonballs, rum?
The
Not a bad idea.
yeah, no, the accessory pack conversation is something that we're having all the time now. And when it comes to this campaign, because my wife and I have literally put in everything we have into this thing. These three prototypes are
Mhm.
the life savings conversation is literal. So,
Yeah.
that base package that you're looking at for these three is the extent that we've been able to reach thus far, but we are
Yeah.
talking about the prospect of making stretch goals a possibility and figuring out what those are. Some of those suggestions are not too far off of some of the things that are on our mind. But if that does not happen for this particular run, that is absolutely on our radar in the future.
Hell yeah. Well, I was gonna say, I mean, it's definitely there's obviously legs to this line. I mean, it's the,
Mhm.
this is the foot in the door for the line, and then, like I think about the Plunderlings, the Lone Coconut brand, where there was the
Right.
metal crate, the leather crate, like all those different accessory packs that came out with the second one, you know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
um, just made it grow and grow and grow. Pirates don't have radar. Modern ones do. Um,
That's a whole other conversation, isn't that? No, we would
right.
absolutely love to have world peace. Oh my word, world building pieces like that included within this line. We have character specific objects within the story, that I think
Yeah.
the Pirates Codex tab is where most of that content is, that goes into all of these different artifacts that these characters revolve around. The whole crux of the story, not only, of course, revolves around those three gods, but they have had this cataclysmic battle that has sent the Tide Realms into the state that it is now, and it's their absence that has kind of influenced the state of piracy and the men of monsters that dwell in it. And there's these artifacts that the gods specifically have left over and are carrying this influence over these three captains specifically. So there's accessories that not only these figures already hold, but accessories that we would love to see in the future that have huge roles within the story content, that are fairly advanced with how they would be achieved in physical form. But what we have been able to get with these guys already is pretty darn cool. And all three characters' large swords that they're holding are key players within the storyline itself. And we've tried to keep story content on a semi-continual flow, so much so that our intention during the Kickstarter is to have the hope is a new installment for all what we're assuming to be 30 days anyway of the campaign, but at least during the campaign, the audiobook presentation of
Oh,
the
cool.
in-world canon for year one is going to be published during that campaign, and that will be on the YouTube channel.
Very cool. Which, by the way, I did link that in the video description, so scope that out.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, a lush world is always something that is extremely exciting, because while it's really cool to have certain toy lines where you can just make everything up in your head and kind of run with
Right.
it, like at the same time, like it's so dope that you've thought this stuff through, that they're, again, you said, there's the concept. It is a built world, which is dope.
Absolutely. There's very little that hasn't already been mapped out. I mean, it's a little, you'll pardon the phrase, overboard how far we've
Ah,
gone, but
yeah,
there's enough
it's fair.
story content that we have going in the background that could go for 10 plus years as far as the history and the future to these characters and how they revolve around each other. But we wanted to find there's another piece of art from Noah there. We wanted to find a balance with these characters that was achieving what I found most attractive about Horseman's approach to toys to begin with, which was they were not primarily marketing that world to you. The toy was the first part of the entryway of that conversation, and you could
Yeah.
stop there if you wanted. You very much can take your own imagination, your own inclinations towards how you feel about that character, and tell the story you like with them, because they are not so specifically prescribed to their point of origin. And we also wanted to give folks the option of having that world to dive into. So Deathmoid has origins that are very, very different from any other skeleton pirate captain that I think has ever been in fiction.
Yeah.
But if you want to use him just like all those stories you're already familiar with, you can, because he is not such a giant departure.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any intentions of any characters that wouldn't necessarily be pirates, like monsters of any sorts or creatures? And do you guys like maybe like animals or anything like that?
Tony,
Is
just
there a oversized winky face that I can use on the screen?
Fair, fair, fair.
Yeah, these are incredible. Real quick, I just realized that we're already like down to the final 20 minutes, and I do want to give the COJ a chance to ask questions too. So if you got questions, please drop them in the chat. Um, like again, you guys have done such a great job and like creating a very robust and filled out world. I am curious because while technically we're not supposed to pick a favorite, everybody has a favorite.
Right,
Everybody has a
exactly.
highlight,
You're gonna.
right? So what has been that highlight for you in developing this toy line, the Tide Realms?
I'm glad that you didn't ask me what my favorite figure is, because that's like
Yeah, I wasn't
picking
gonna do
a
that.
favorite
I was gonna put that.
child. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know, well, I'll be a little bit of my first instinct when it comes to my favorite part of this line is the fact that I get to do it with my wife, and she's the only reason that I couldn't do this without her. It was absolutely our joining forces that made this not only financially possible but conceptually possible. She's just as integral to this whole process as I am, and we complement each other pretty well, because I can get the structure figured out of just about everything we're looking at, and she can go in and flush out some of the details. Um, I think my favorite thing about doing this really is sitting together and watching this world write itself into existence. One of her very favorite character is somebody that we're hoping we can get in the near future to make happen. He's this little compatriot that's with Charybdis's crew, Snitch the Crab. He's a very small character, but he has some major implications to the world at large, and he's highly, highly entertaining, not only to write, but to read. So the world building is a joy at every stage, and there's not been a single point where we just haven't been either laughing our butts off or crying at the end of the night, because it's been that depthful and that entertaining. It's really, really hard to pick a favorite stage. So the correct answer is that one. If I'm just going to go on the the baseline of creative linear output, I think my favorite moment of this entire venture, next to putting those concepts in front of this amazing company and seeing them come to life in a matter of months, is putting those concepts in front of people at Legion's Con and seeing their face light up when it's in front of them. We were stunned with how many people, which just hopefully means that my marketing campaign is at least doing some of its job. How many people were already aware of who we were and what we were doing, but how many folks would just get more and more drawn in the closer they looked at it. And of course, we had our sales pitch we'd give for everybody to get that world in their heads, but these guys talk for themselves, and we're so very, very happy that folks are so highly responsive to them.
Heck yeah. Couple questions to Adam, just going for the jugular there. Forgiven says, any peg leg accessories to make pirate into Long John Silver from Muppet's Treasure Island.
You have to. You can't just stop at a peg leg. You're going to have to go all the way and get the Tim Curry head sculpt if you're going to
Right?
do that. Precisely.
Yeah. If you aren't checking out the lore, you're missing out. I concur. Been reading a lot of Patrick O'Brien, Master and Commander, so I'm up for this. Dave, where are you guys based out of? Terrence, I'm out of Minneapolis. Tony's just a little north.
Like northeast.
Yeah, in the
Fridley, Minnesota.
In suburbs.
Okay, you guys are pretty close to each other then.
Oh yeah. In many ways. No. Like the never mind. That's a story for a different day. That makes it weirder. I think that's my bad.
Okay.
Okay. I would
Jumped overboard there, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, like no. This was the funny thing of so Tony just acquired and had a third dog join the crew at his place, and I got interviewed, and they're like, "Well, how well do you know him?" And I'm like, "Well, I performed his wedding." So
I
like,
should answer that question.
I'm like, I hope pretty well.
Fairly well. Now I'm questioning it. I think back there somebody was asking who my favorite pirate figure was. Like I said, if I'm going to pick through the three that I made, that one I can't do. What's funny is if I was to go try to pick a favorite pirate figure from everything I've researched of what's in existence, you got a really small window there of stuff to pick from.
Oh, yeah.
I think
there's not
was
much.
no, there's not. I compared him to the Diamond Select, Alistair anyway, the Diamond Select Jack Sparrow, which is a pretty decent figure on his own. He's got some sort of crippling articulation flaws, but that's a different conversation. But if you're going shopping for pirate toys, it's really, really hard to nail a nice one down. And if you're looking for fantasy ones, it's almost non-existent. There was some, I think, Assassin's Creed attempts by McFarlane maybe 10 or 12 years ago.
And Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, and so you go all the way back to the NECA, Pirates of the Caribbean, and some of those, they haven't aged well. So I don't really have a, right, you're going to have to go to Hot Toys if you want a good pirate figure. That's about your only option.
Yeah. Theo Mike likes to add, give me a Puerto Rican pirate, and I'm all yours.
There's another winky face.
Yeah. Cue the goat screams. Pendergast, why would you say that? The long running joke. But yeah, I mean that's been one of those fun things too. Of again, I've been since we started talking, it was that thing of like kind of deep diving into the website, deep diving into everything, just trying to find anything. And it was like I was trying to do comparisons to like other toy lines, and I'm just like, God dang, there's not a lot of pirates out there in this world toy wise.
No, that's the whole problem.
It's cool to see.
What was really fun to get introduced to the Legions community at large, and it's absolutely them that kind of steered us into those open waters, so to speak, of that interest and the fact that people were looking for things like that. And it's been so highly, the Horsemen specifically have been highly accommodating when it came to this conversation, because like Tony was just expressing, they have a similar train of thought when it comes to these next couple years. So, within their rights, they absolutely could have gone, yeah, we have some similar thoughts. So I think we'll have to steer you either in a different direction or to a different entity all entirely. And no, they were very, very interested in this idea specifically, and very, very interested in what made each part of that niche so special and unique and isolated to itself. There's no way to look at these guys and not have Pirates of the Caribbean come to your mind, but you can tell that it's going for something else entirely at the same time.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It was very intentional.
It's one of those weird things, though. Even like trying to think about it, like besides Pirates of the Caribbean, there's really not even any, like, besides Muppet Treasure Island,
Right. So what I mentioned just a little while ago when it came to the fact that I've always wanted to tell a pirate story, that's fairly specific and random, don't you think? It's true. When I was going through my long, I mean, you can Google me, like literally, if anybody's curious, you can Google me and find out what that story is about. But while I was making the student films that I did coming out of high school, one of the things that specifically occurred to me during that time frame, long before these guys came into being, was that exact genre has only ever been tapped into specifically by Disney. And it's very strange to me that pirates as a genre seemingly hasn't been explored outside of the story they decided to tell, which was based on a theme park ride. So those writers were fairly creative when it came to building that
Yeah.
universe. So I thought it was odd that there aren't even any other, right, there's another one, that there aren't any large scale pirate films unless you want to go watch the cool flashbacks and adventures to Tintin.
Yeah.
There's just nothing to go to, and that's such a wide sweeping fantastical genre that I've always said to myself
Yeah.
that if I could jump into the film industry like I'm jumping into the toy industry now, that I would
And
tell that story.
it's
And I'm very
crazy. Like it never even dawned on me. But there was what was the one with Ray Stevenson? It was
oh,
the
let's
TV
see.
series
My dumb ass is
Black
gonna go
Sails, right.
Black Sails, which was
Yeah.
another great one. Or if
Yes.
you want something stupid, Our Flag Means Death.
Yeah. Which I was
I
still
mean,
hoping that we
stupid in a good way.
I
Right.
was hoping we'd still see figures from that. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Not a bad one.
There's something
But
for everybody. Black
yeah,
Sails is a very good comparison just when it comes to some of the storytelling tropes that we have latched onto. Those things that make this pirate genre an established, you know, heartstring puller that it is, we want to tap into with these figures and have a physical place for that to go. And it's so very strange to me that shelf is completely empty for people. When you went down the Lego aisle in 1984, what were you going to see? Town, pirates, castle, and
space.
space.
Yeah.
Yep.
We got those in almost every facet. If I look at City, I guess I'm going to look at GI Joe or something like that. But you get what I
Yeah.
mean. There's a little bit of that flavor everywhere, except for these guys.
Darren, you're not wrong. But One
Yep,
Piece, little removed from the fantasy realm.
One Piece is fairly different from what we're going for.
Yeah. But like I again, like what I've brought it up on here a bunch of times. It's that thing of you saw something missing and you're diving at it, and it's so cool to see that coming up, because they're guys like you, guys like Big Bad Mike over at Big Bad Workshop, like
Right.
you guys are seeing stuff and going, hey, this is missing, like let's run with it. And that's so freaking cool to see, because yeah, just the big guys ain't stepping up. So it's awesome to see people who are passionate about creating something that's worthwhile and worth a damn.
I think it's
um
a case of the big guys have so many ideas of their own right that how could they possibly even crank out everything? But
yeah,
this is an interesting one, and I've very much gone by the creed that I won't age myself because it's not like that'll take very long. But for everybody who saw robots back when it came out, you have the whole mantra from Big Weld being see a need, fill a need, and everything has fallen into place when it came to that. And funnily enough, that movie was a fairly motivational inspiration piece to me at several points in my life, and that came into fruition here. We saw what people were asking for and decided to take what's been the biggest risk of my life, but we've been welcomed with open arms into the most unique community I've ever run into when it comes to a fan base, and the
for sure.
confidence I have stepping into this next stage of life with hopefully what will create my career
Yeah.
is a
I'm
huge
I'm
blessing.
gonna I'm gonna say this with the utmost respect for it. You fucking dove deep, man. You started with the cabal. Like that that in its own right is impressive to me. And again, that's nothing against the cabal, but they're a
Right.
passionate lot. They
Yeah.
are a passionate lot. Um and dude, like again, like the funny thing was is seeing so many people hyped about it, and not, not the usual like, oh my god, blah, 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 about a toy
Right.
line, but going, holy shit, did you see this? Look at this. Did you see these? Like,
It's
and
been
being
really fun.
excited. Yeah, the reaction is there, and I can't wait till it comes around to when it's time to get the ball rolling. And I hope we definitely talk more before then, but we're already at the top of the hour. Too sweet to be sour, too hot to handle, and too cold to hold. So I do want to throw it to you, Quaid, so you can shill. Tony and I'll close it out, but the floor is yours, my dude. I'm so stoked for the future.
I'm just really, really thankful that we've got folks that are approaching us not only as often as they are. I have a different DM from somebody I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, pretty much every week at this point, and we're very, very happy to fill in those time slots within what's reasonable. I'm actually stunned with how full our schedule is very, very quickly becoming. But I can't thank the fan base that's slowly but steadily growing on a daily basis enough. And I'm going to really stress that point hard when it comes to a Kickstarter, because I think some folks that are jumping into, especially a line that's touching on a genre that's very niche and new to some of this, the best thing to do possible is to go research, even just for yourself, beyond what we've provided on the website and our socials, what it means to get involved in a Kickstarter and what you're getting into, because it's fairly straightforward, but it's not just like, a normal pre-order, um, or going to Amazon and having it in 2 days. There's lots of turning gears to this big old entity that's the toy industry. Creative Realms also is a great resource to go to because they have all the information on where they will be representing us. But when it comes to a Kickstarter, the best thing you can do to ensure a line's longevity and success through that 30-day stretch where people are looking to get this thing funded is to jump on those first few days. Because the good news about a Kickstarter is that you're not taking any risk when you back within those first 3 days, which is what tells Kickstarter to send that algorithm to other people who haven't run into it yet, which is what gets us to that funding goal. Because there isn't any pledge that you've put down that is taken from anywhere until the campaign is successful. So sitting on it for 30 days until the end, while it makes quite a bit of sense, is a little counterintuitive when it comes to a campaign like this. So within reason, within what's possible, it's good to get in early because it informs us as the creators where our trajectory is and if we can start stuffing more things into that package later down the line. And the best way to keep yourself informed on that is that email sign up sheet at the bottom of that website, and you'll get notified at every step of the campaign where we're at, when we go live, and what all is going to be included in that campaign.
Hell yeah. Real quick, you know where you can find Tony and I. But dude, I just want to say thank you. I want to thank all the folks that swung by for this too tonight. If you're catching this on the replay, like, comment, subscribe, go track down everything from the Tide Realms. Make sure to go check that out. And again, hopefully Quaid will be back here in the not so distant future, and we can be hyping
Guaranteed.
up the launch of the Kickstarter. So real quick, Tony, you wanna let the folks know how to outro?
You guys know where to find me and all that stuff. Find me over at the Griff Rider on Instagram. If you're local, you can come visit me here at Minton Box Toys in Stillwater, Minnesota. Go get our shirts off of prowrestlingtees.com/Dave Wonder, and all that fun stuff. And
it's all linked in the video description below. So thank you everybody for swinging on by. Like, comment, subscribe. Also go scope out Quaid online. Go scope out Tony. You know where to find me. But until next time, folks, be good, be kind. Much love from Minnesota. Good night, y'all. See ya.
Thank you, guys.
Spooky outro.